I still remember the day Agada stood under the tall mango tree near the edge of the forest, his voice breaking as he called into the bush. He was the same man who once shouted that he never wanted to see that monkey again. Now, he was crying to the wind, begging the trees to give back his only friend. What happened before that moment is a story the people of Umuchukwu still whisper under moonlight. Long ago, in the peaceful village of Umuchukwu, where the sun rose gently over the red earth and the sound of pestles echoed in the mornings, there lived a quiet man named Agada. He had no wife, no children, and a man of very few words. Agada lived alone in a small hut on the edge of the village, where the bush stretched endlessly into green shadows and rustling leaves. One dry season morning, Agada went to fetch water from the stream. That was when he saw a little monkey trapped in a hunter's net, wriggling and crying softly. Its small hands were wounded from trying to escape. Agada looked into its wide, helpless eyes and something touched his heart. He untangled the net, lifted the monkey gently, and took it home. He named the monkey Chizam, meaning God answers me. At first, Chizam was weak and shy. But under Agada's care, the monkey grew strong and playful. They became like brothers. Chizam followed Agada everywhere, to the stream, the farm, and even to the market. It learned to pick ripe guavas, climb palm trees to shake down nuts, and chase away stubborn goats from Agada's young mound. People in Umuchukwu began to laugh and point, not in mockery, but in wonder. Look at Agada and his little helper, they would say. For a long time, life was peaceful. Chizam brought joy not only to Agada, but to the children in the village who would gather to watch the monkey dance, jump, and perform tricks. Agada, who had once been a man of few smiles, now laughed with ease. He talked to Chizam as though the monkey understood every word, and in many ways, it did. But as the rainy season came, something changed. Chizam became restless. It started sneaking out at night and returning in the morning with muddy hands and wild eyes. Soon, complaints began to rise. First, it was Mama Uzoma, who swore she saw Chizam steal a hot akara ball right off her frying pan. Then, the chief's wife declared that her drying pepper had been scattered across the compound by one very bold monkey. Still, Agada defended Chizam. He's just playful, he would say. He means no harm. But Chizam's mischief grew worse. One afternoon, it climbed into the school and pulled off a teacher's wig, sending the pupils screaming. Another day, it poured palm oil into the village well. The elders were angry. Children became afraid. Agada's neighbors warned him, and for the first time, he scolded Chizam. That night, Chizam disappeared and returned only after dawn, this time with a red cap in its hands, the chief's sacred red cap, taken from his sleeping hut. The village shook with rage. The chief summoned Agada and warned him, either control the monkey or face punishment. Agada was heartbroken. He didn't sleep that night. He sat beside Chizam, who stared at him with sad eyes, as if sensing something was about to change. At sunrise, Agada walked into the thick bush with Chizam on his shoulder. Deeper and deeper they went, past the familiar footpaths, past the banana groves, until they reached the old mango tree that stood alone in the silence of the forest. Agada climbed halfway up and gently placed Chizam on a strong branch. He looked at the monkey one last time, his heart heavy with pain, and turned away. Chizam sat still, confused, as his only friend disappeared behind the trees. Life went on in Umuchukwu, but for Agada, the days were no longer the same. His laughter died. He no longer went to the market, nor to the farm. He sat outside in silence, staring into the trees, listening for the rustle of small feet or the sound of fruit dropping from the mango tree. But Chizam never came back. Villagers noticed his sadness. Some felt pity, others whispered that he had been too proud to admit how much he missed the monkey. One day, without telling anyone, Agada went back into the bush. He called Chizam's name. He searched under fallen logs, looked up tall trees, and left pieces of fruit where the monkey once played. He returned every day, hoping. One rainy evening, I followed him. I saw him under the same mango tree, soaked to the skin, calling out into the green silence. His voice was cracked and tired. And then, we heard something. A rustle in the branches above. A soft thump behind the bush. Agada held his breath. We waited. But it was only a squirrel, running through the leaves. Agada sank to the ground. I saw tears mix with the rain on his face. It was the first time I ever saw a grown man cry like a child. Moral of the story. We don't always recognize the value of companionship until we are left with silence. In anger, we may cast away those who bring us joy, but love, once broken, is not always easy to find again. Patience and understanding often hold more power than punishment.